Just be
Oh,
there.
we could do
Or,
that as well.
links in the description, however you want to do it. But yeah, so the movie's called Fear of the Dark. It's a heartwarming tale about a young woman whose shadow is trying to kill her. And
Check that out.
yeah, real real Hallmark Channel stuff. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a little dark, but man, like my composer really nailed the music for the movie.
Heartwarming tale about you.
Sorry, so just causing so many errors.
Oh, you're checking.
right now.
You're checking that we're on.
Well, no, I
online.
wanted to pop out the chat so I could see if anyone was saying something. So we don't really have someone for that.
Well, I do have the chat over here. Chris
good.
says hello. Hi, Chris.
Oh, hello, Chris. Yeah. Anyway, and I was trying to mute it at the same time. It's just amateur hour, but we're learning.
Well, yeah, first time for everything. The first 100 times are the hardest.
Right. And also on top of that, the episode of Brian and I when we were on Sledgehammer Horrors podcast is out now, where we covered our first horror movie.
Yep. Yeah, that went live yesterday.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been crazy. Like I was telling someone, like by the end of today, people are going to be really sick of me because we had the trailer drop on Friday, and I was tagged. I kid you not, like 200 and some times with people just like blasting that out and sharing that. Yeah, and then I was
okay. Hold on. If people are sick of you doing what you love to do, I'm just gonna go out on a limb to say fuck them.
Well,
they're not a
let me
fan,
finish here.
They're not a supporter.
Let me finish here, right? So so you had the trailer on Friday.
Yeah.
Then I got tagged like crazy on this other movie that I was working on this weekend. Not mine. I was just doing some drone stuff and visual effects supervising. And then the Sledgehammer horror thing came out on Monday, and then we're doing this live stream today. So that's why I say it's just like I'm all over the place. This must be what it feels like to have an online following.
Welcome to social media. I mean, you've only avoided it since its inception.
Yeah, well.
So
it's not that I avoid it. It's that, filmmaking is such a slow process where I feel like with what you do, you have stuff to share on a more frequent basis, and we spend like months building up to the planning of something and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. And yeah, so let's talk about the Sledgehammer horror interview that we did, because they've been on the show. Ken and Ashley Sledge were on the show. They were great.
Such a fun interview to have with them. They were a blast.
That was the Child's Play episode.
Yeah, they're like super high energy and always up for a good laugh. So like that's always a good guest to have on. But so it was nice to be like, the tables were turned, and then like we're kind of put on the spot about our first horror movie. So
that was such a weird, not a weird question. It's a very obvious question, but I had a really hard time like figuring that out. Like it was way harder than I thought it would be, because like, wait a minute.
Yeah, how do you even remember? Like I was just going off like what had like the most impact, like what was most clear in my memory, and it was Friday the 13th. But I don't know like 100%. I'm not 100% sure that was the first horror movie that I ever seen, but I think it's what I remember most from my childhood. So I think I saw it first.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, and like for me it was Poltergeist, but it was kind of the same thing where like I didn't realize that, like I just thought movies were movies, and I didn't really necessarily know that horror was its own thing or action was its own thing. It's just like the movie was the movie. And I just thought they were just all like movies, and they were just, I didn't realize genres were different, so I had to kind of like go back through it and kind of figure out at least what my first memory was.
Yeah, it was almost like I was being a detective in my own brain. Like, how far does this go back? So, but no, it was a great interview. It was a lot of fun. And what was funny is like you and I are used to like, I think we only like actually put out an hour, but there's probably like 2 hours of conversation in there. So we're used to like, a
longer
2-hour
form
process to record our own podcast. And so I was shocked when it was like, oh, well, we're done. I was like, that was like a half hour.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, okay, I thought we were going to be here all night. But no.
Yeah.
So it went by really fast.
Yeah.
So I hope I haven't rewatched it yet. So I hope I don't sound so stupid. But
no, I think it came out good. I did actually check it out just because I threw up a link to that because I had to go there and grab a link to, send that out on the Instagram there. And
excellent.
just while I was there, I watched through it because I didn't want to mess up their metrics or whatever because it's like, oh, someone watched the video for 3 seconds and then clicked off.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was fun. Check it out. So that's episode 103.5.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, somewhere around there.
You were gonna do like a 0.5 as well. How's that coming along? Because you were talking about
it. Well, it's still coming. So like, since it's our 2-year anniversary, I thought it'd be like fun to go back and like pull out some clips from like all of our episodes because it's 2 years of content. I mean, I don't know how many hours we're at now, but it's like, I think it's at least a couple days.
Yeah. Last time I checked. Yeah. Last time I checked, it was 4.5 days worth of audio.
It's fucking crazy. 4.5 days of talking shit or talking about how we enjoyed a movie.
Yeah. Or just randomly getting lost in the weeds.
Right. No, but I thought it'd be fun to go back and like find those like kind of gems of like a conversation that we had. But I'm still working on it. I often think like in my head, like, oh, this will take me X amount of time,
Yeah.
So then it's like I'll allot that amount of time, and it's usually like conservative. It's not like on my fastest pace, how long will that take me to do? It's like, nah, kind of on my slowest to medium pace, and I'm not done with it, So it's one of those things where it's like, it's coming, but it might be a couple weeks late. And plus, both of us get into this cycle where we're both the busiest at the exact same time, where it's like, it's super hard to like get certain things done because suddenly it's like, you put out like 5 fires and then there's 10 more, so
yeah.
it's a little bit of a struggle every once in a while. So yeah, look for that hopefully in like a week, but yeah, it's getting there.
Okay,
so
cool.
Yeah, but it's gonna to explain it a little more, it's just gonna be a bonus episode, like an unnumbered episode that's just gonna come out, and it's just best of audio clips, so it'll go on the Spotify channel on the audio version of the podcast.
Yeah, like on those feeds, like your Google Plays and your Apple Podcasts and everything else.
Yeah,
right on. So for anyone just joining us, how would you describe the Post Credits podcast? Because this is technically our first YouTube video. So I feel like we should have
YouTube video,
some explanation of what we do.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been friends for a really long time. Met my freshman year of college, your sophomore year. And we actually our friendship started growing because I noticed your fancy pants DVD player that was so like technologically advanced at the time. And I was like, wow, this guy's made of money apparently. And but one of the first interactions I think we had was I was like, oh my God, you like Halloween 2? Because that was like one of the DVDs that you had. And your response was not like, yeah, man, I think it's great. It was like, yeah. And, like, where's the other shoe gonna drop? So it's like, I don't think you realized that I really like those movies as well. I thought you were bracing yourself for someone to make fun of you for liking these types of movies,
Yeah. Well, we didn't really know each other that much.
No, this is like a couple days in.
Yeah. So it's kind of gauging your reaction there.
But we've always had conversations about movies, just in general. We always have had them, and we'll notice like certain quirks about movies or certain things we'll notice. We'll talk about them and have long conversations about them. And we decided to put those recordings out there for everyone else to listen to, Well, not that we had the recordings before, just to clarify, but we started to record them, in a podcast form. So there is some more like research that goes involved in it, not just what we saw and our opinions about it. But what we try to do is have an entertaining podcast for people to come to and hear two people that are really into movies talk about movies. Now, sometimes it's critical. It can be critical of a movie. Sometimes it's just tearing apart a movie that doesn't deserve to exist, So that would be the Rob Zombie movies or the Eli Roth movies.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've done either. Oh, you're saying of the world.
I'm just saying, like, those are the types of movies we would tear apart.
Yeah.
What other ones?
Because I was going to say the Bruno Mattei, the shocking dark.
Italians in general seem to not be good filmmakers.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing?
Just offending people's geographical locations, like I normally do.
Well, that's. You are on, just added another country to the enemies list there.
Well, they were already on there, and they knew they were on there because of Shocking Dark.
For you,
Jaws,
for you, yeah.
Even Troll 2, apparently.
I love the Italians. Like the spaghetti westerns are incredible. Like the Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone stuff.
So I mean, like you found a needle in a stack of needles when all the other needles have like all the dangerous diseases in them.
Lucio Fulci, Dario Argento, like
sure,
you're not. Yeah, I mean, so there's good stuff in there too. It's just that like that made such a Shocking Dark, which was just a terrible Aliens ripoff, even though they tried to call it Terminator 2.
Alienator was another name too.
Yeah, that was one of the different ones. It just made such a negative opinion on you that you're just like, if it's Italian, you're just like, we're doomed.
Well, I mean, it's like each time I hear like something bullshit from like the 80s, it's like, oh, they did that. It's like, oh, that's another Italian person. They have a strong track record for movies in the 80s being god awful, So that's my justification.
Well, I think it's
blasting, putting on blast all of Italy.
I mean, really, it's like the video store schlock that kind of went out there.
In all fairness, we have those companies here too. I just think it's funny to poke fun at Italians for making some of the worst movies ever.
So I just have to interject here, and this is a great place for this because Chris said, "Send all hate mail to post credits at."
That's not even the correct address.
So where can they send their hate mail?
Hi at postcreditspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, that's right. Please send your hate mail there.
Feel free to. I will wear that burden. I will put the world on my back and keep saying all this stupid shit. I don't care.
Well, I don't know. Do you think we've made enough enemies yet, or should we just get into the meat of the episode here?
My philosophy is to make the most enemies. So, but we can get into
You don't want to save some for next time?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll save some for next time. Why not? There's always room for more hate.
Yeah. There isn't enough of that in the world. As you can tell by our fancy banner here, and you really did go fancy.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, it's like I went a little bit fancy.
Yeah, you got the streamers and the candle.
Candles, the big 2 candle right in the center. We each got candles on our sides. Got the. It's our birthday.
Yeah.
2 years of this, man.
Yep.
Good shit.
Yeah,
I had to do something. I was actually thinking about getting like birthday hats and wearing like some sort of suit or something and not telling you.
I wouldn't have gone along with that.
No, I know you wouldn't have. But the joke would have been to not tell you, but me coming to like the show all like fancified.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have put one on Tom Servo back there or something.
Okay.
Yeah, robots don't have any such hangups.
No.
But today we're talking about The Rock, which is one of the greatest action movies of the 90s.
It is. And it's also a reminder that it's been 15 years since Transformers came out, which is the last good Michael Bay movie. So.
Has it? Wow, 15 years.
Yes.
Wow, 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? 15 years, 2007.
I mean, this still kind of feels like it was yesterday because I remember seeing this in the theater.
I don't think I saw it in the theater. But I don't remember if I did or not, to be honest. Probably. Because this movie has just been a part of my life for forever. It's always talked about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like on everyone's top uh action movie list. It's always in like the top 100 action movies of all time. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
it's so
I didn't realize it was that well regarded. I mean,
yeah,
I knew it
yeah,
was well regarded, but not like top 100 well regarded.
yeah. No, yeah, I mean, it's great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole lot of like slow-mo Ed Harris just staring off into space, you know. That's what also is in this movie. Slow-mo staring. So
Just to put a final pin in the movie theater experience,
yes, yeah, go ahead.
I'll always remember this because it was the first movie I saw in the theater that the projector broke down,
Yeah.
and it was like right when Nicolas Cage is going for the last missile, and he stabs himself in the heart, and like the film breaks, and you're just like, what happens? And
Right.
and they went and got someone, and they came in, and they were gonna give us tickets to come back another day, and it's like, this is a 2 hour and 20 minute movie, and we're like two
It's a
hours and
long action movie.
and we're 2 hours and 10 minutes into it, and it's like, you want me to come back and sit through the whole movie? So we just went to the next theater over because it was one of those staggered showings where
Yeah.
they were doing like movies every 15 minutes or whatever. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we actually just walked next door and saw the end of it, and then came back and grifted a free movie out of there.
Oh, nice. You know, I only had that happen once, and that was when I saw The Matrix in high school, the very first Matrix. And what's crazy is like this wouldn't ever happen now, and it's kind of one of those things that's just like lost to because technology has advanced. But like when the primary way to see a movie was just on film, you know, so they had the projectors going. The bulb lit the film on fire, so you saw like the fire spread and it was like projected onto the
Oh, wow.
screen.
Yeah,
You know, so
that's
it's
cool.
like, yeah, so you never will. I mean, you could have a breakdown in a projector for sure, but not like the film actually catching fire. You know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, when physical break, well, I mean, hell, I mean, you were at one of my screenings and the audio thing broke and they couldn't get the thing working. They
oh
just had to
yeah.
like jump ahead in the movie. And that's the thing with digital is like, when it doesn't work, it's just like, well, here's your shit sandwich. Use mustard or don't. I don't care. It just doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
But with physical, you can kind of troubleshoot it and fix it unless the film burns up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was the only time I experienced that, but it was definitely like, oh, it's on fire in there. Uh, good luck. Good luck. Because isn't film like pretty flammable? Like it's easy to catch on fire and then
Hmm.
spread quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be if I had the projector job, that would not be the only occurrence that the film caught on fire. It would be the occurrence that day that the film caught on fire, you know, because it would happen Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday all week, you know.
Yeah, I don't
Just to
think
the
that
end.
ever happened at the theater when I was working there.
No.
No, usually things would break, like the tape between reels is what would usually break. And then that's when you kind of see the thing like slapping against the screen. But anyway, enough about movies breaking down.
Right. We got a
So
movie to talk about.
top 100. Wow.
Yeah.
Like how
Yeah.
high on
It
the
plays
list are we talking?
74th. So pretty, I mean, that's a pretty good standing, you
Yeah.
know. But I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. I didn't look at the other 99 movies to see what it was up against. So I mean, it could be like some real bogus shit in there. You know, maybe like 74 is like Robot Jocks or something, you know, like who knows. So or you know, maybe like it's a solid list and it's like, yeah, these are all worth your time, you know. So
Hmm.
who knows? Who knows? All right. I did some fact checking on this movie since it's Michael Bay and
Fact checking.
Yeah. VX gas is a real thing.
Yes, correct.
I did not know that. I thought it was just a fake thing that Michael Bay made up to make a movie around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Real deal. And did you know that in April, they finally destroyed all the remaining VX gas on the planet? So it was still there. And its primary function was to paralyze your nervous system. So you just choked to death. It would paralyze your diaphragm,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just couldn't breathe in anything. That is some scary shit. So in this movie, like right in the beginning, when they're like, we gotta raid this compound that holds the VX gas,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
you see the guy, like the reaction to it, because one of the canisters breaks and his skin starts bubbling. Nothing like that. It's non-corrosive. It's bad news though. It's considered a weapon of mass destruction. And you know what else is on there? A nuclear bomb. That's a weapon of mass
That's
destruction.
like the next thing on the list.
Yeah.
Man.
So
yeah,
it's nasty stuff. But
yeah,
I think
chemical warfare
the movie
in general is just.
Oh yeah, we don't have to get into all the stuff that chemical warfare does, but it's not good.
Oh yeah, I don't mean to. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think Nick Cage was correct there, and right when because he goes off on a little history about how it was invented in 1970 whatever
Mm-hmm.
as a failed attempt to create a new pesticide.
Yes. Yes. And that goes to my next point of like the sarin gas incident when they're kind of like introducing everyone. So you have like the Ed Harris military people, and they're like, oh, they're bad guys because they're stealing the VX gas and they're going to hold San Francisco Bay hostage,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But then you have like Nicolas Cage and his team's introduction, Stanley Goodspeed. And like they had that sarin gas thing with the doll and the C4 and like the vents and the thing.
Yeah.
And
Where's my water?
Yeah, where's my water? You know, of course, like Murphy's Law, everything has to go wrong when they need it to not go wrong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really interested because I was like, why would you like what's the purpose of like stabbing yourself in the heart with this thing? Like, why couldn't you just inject? I guess like they were kind of playing fast and loose, but the atropine is actually what you would use for a nerve agent if you got exposed to it. I just don't know if you need it to go right into the heart like this movie. I think you need to inject it into your body. I just think it's more like epinephrine, right? Where it's like you just got to get it into your leg and then you're good. You know, circulation will take care of it. But
yeah, I don't know
it's
if
it's more dramatic to have you stab yourself in the heart with it.
It's really do you see the size of this needle? You want me to stab myself in the heart? Are you nuts? Well, and it like think about it too, because like you have to get through bone to do that, unless you kind of like slid in through your ribs or through your armpit somehow. I mean, you know, it's just, needle that long in the armpit. No, thank you.
I think that's like one of the last things I'd ever want to do. Like you got to stab yourself in the chest through your chest plate into your heart with a gigantic needle. Like, just throw me in the trash already. You know?
Mean,
like, I don't want to do that.
The sheer willpower that you would need to do that, and then to be able to hit the plunger after.
Yes.
Because you're like,
yeah. And for Nicolas Cage's problem, he's already got a SWAT vest on, so he's got to go through that as well, you know? So just keep adding the layers. But here's the other thing, though. Atropine, its side effects are blurred vision and dizziness. One of them. Two of them. It's like a long list.
Yeah.
Atropine's not something you just want to take.
Two things you want to experience while trying to defuse a bomb.
Exactly. While it's raining, you know, while the
yeah.
So, also causes nausea and rapid heart rate. The interesting thing I found out about atropine is actually used with sedation. So anesthetic, it's used in combination with that because it's used for its side effects of like increased heart rate, and it also takes away like your ability to salivate or create like mucus, which you could asphyxiate on when you're under you know, so it like
Okay.
calms all that stuff down.
Wow.
So, which is really interesting, but it's used for the side effects, not its actual purpose, you know.
Wow.
So
Fascinating.
interesting. But yeah, the rapid heart rate uh doesn't become rapid when you're under, because you're already like sedated. You're already using like depressive drugs, you know, so it's like bringing that heart rate up to normal. Fascinating,
Hmm.
because you know, science. So um
Do tranquilizer darts like this exist? Because like I was thinking about that when they're storming the weapons facility and they're shooting guys and they're instantly knocked out, but then to have to stab yourself in the heart. I think the reason that they did the heart was so that it's in the heart and it's being dispersed quicker. But
sure.
if you're just getting shot somewhere random, like it's going to take a second, as Metal Gear Solid taught us.
Yeah, I think you would get a few steps of stumbling before you passed out.
Yeah,
I
because it
don't think
has
they would
to.
instantly knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool, because it's got to get like to your brain, right? To like, or your heart or
your
other
heart
muscles. Yeah, to like
has to
cause you
pump.
to like, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's got to go somewhere. And yeah, I just don't think a tranquilizer is going to get to everywhere it needs to go to cause you to be knocked out in instantaneously. It's not the most permeable substance, you
Hmm.
know, whatever
In
it is
that
that they're
amount of
using.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, not that I know what they're using. I'm just saying, like, it has to be like, it's got to go through so many barriers just to do what it needs to do, you know?
Right.
Like, I know anything about fucking medicine. So,
Yeah, no, it's just your heart has to beat in order for it
yeah.
to start going through your system, and it's kind of the same thing when you see these like wonderfully gory fountains of blood, like in Kill Bill when they cut someone's head off there. It's like a second and then because
Yeah,
you
that's the
know
heartbeat.
that's yeah, because that's the arterial spray. It has
Yeah.
to take a second in order to shoot
Yeah.
that out there.
Yeah. So, so what do you think of Nicolas Cage in this one? I feel like this is the start of Nicolas Cage being an action hero, you know, where it's like, you know, like Sean Connery, like he's already been there. He's Bond, you know,
Hmm.
it's expected of him to be an action star, you
Right.
know, but Nicolas Cage, I mean, like he was known for like Arizona, Moonstruck, you know, nothing like this up until this movie, you know.
Yeah. Well, and he's still kind of a supporting actor. I mean, he's the guy that doesn't know how to fire the guns, and Connery's punking him out there. It's like you didn't got
Yeah.
any take terrorism school.
Right. Yeah.
So Con Air was after this then, because this
Yeah.
was what 97 you said.
This is 96. Yeah.
So then Con Air was 7 or 8.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was for some reason, for whatever reason in my brain, I always feel like Con Air came before this. I know it didn't, but I still have that thing where it's like, man, he lost a lot. He lost all that Con Air muscle when I'm watching this, and it's just no, he hadn't put it on yet, dummy. Like,
Yeah. Dude, he was absolutely ripped in Con Air. That was crazy. And with that awful mullet, though. That awful mullet.
hmm.
You know. I I'm gonna go out on the edge here and say I think I like Con Air better. And I don't know if that's blasphemy or not. I feel like everyone's default thing is to say that this movie is like better than Con Air, but I think I
Yeah.
enjoy Con Air better than The Rock.
Well, there's two different things there though, because you can enjoy it, but objectively think one's a better movie.
Yeah.
Because I in both enjoy and objectively think The Rock is better than Con Air. So I'm just gonna push back on that a little bit, but that's totally fine because it's like Halloween 4 and Halloween 5. Halloween 4 is a better movie, but I like Halloween 5 better. I don't. I think it's just the way that it's shot. Like the characters are terrible.
They're the worst.
They're the
They're the
fucking
worst.
worst.
They're
Yeah.
the worst people on the planet. And not that they do anything wrong. It's just like they do it in the most annoying way, you know?
In the most annoying way, thumbing their nose at the obvious danger. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
On and on and on. I'm not trying to turn this into a Halloween discussion. I just bring that up because
No.
it's like I can't reconcile those two in my mind because I know
Yeah.
4 is a better movie, but I like 5 better. I shouldn't. And that's kind of a Rock Con Air situation for you, it seems like.
I wouldn't. I think. Well, I mean,
I'm just
I'm
saying that
trying to
both
find a
things
way to
can
argue
exist.
better. They can, but it's like I think that's too harsh of a comparison for Con Air, because like
Oh, it's not
Con.
Halloween 5 bad, no.
Right. Right.
But same
But
producers, right? Because that was a Bruckheimer movie.
yes. No.
Don
That, like.
Simpson.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Like the. Yeah. It was all Brockheimer. Like all of that. It seems like it started with Days of Thunder, and then kind of ended like around Armageddon. Or no. I take that back. You know where it ended? Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was like Brockheimer as well. So it's like he had like a good like 12 years in there that were just great.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Top Gun was Brockheimer as well, going way back.
Yeah, I think it was.
So, but yeah, there was just so many like action movies that were just like, oh, that's another Brockheimer. That's another one, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, and there was a time where it's just like Michael Bay's a genius. Like when this movie was brand new, and like that's all that he did, and then Armageddon came
oh my
out,
god.
and Armageddon was massive too. I mean, that was a massive movie that was everywhere, and I still thought it was pretty good. I think it's kind of dumb now when I rewatch it.
It's incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Just I mean, like we should do a episode on Armageddon just so we can rip that one apart.
The
Like,
last time I watched it, I was working on some like space graphics for something, and I just
okay.
I just needed a movie to put in to kind of reference for what like natural space photography looks like, and I
And
was
you got
like,
that from Armageddon?
yeah, yeah, and I
Okay.
was watching the opening credits there, and it's like, huh, written by J.J. Abrams, interesting.
All right. I do think I remembered that. No, but even when I saw Armageddon, I saw Armageddon in the theater as well. I was like, it's kind of dumb, right? Like, it's kind of stupid.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I was still I don't know, but I like entertainment movies, like big spectacle movies, and that's the kind of thing I always try to aspire to. And I just high school Brian was just like, this is why you make movies. Like, look this over here.
Oh, there was plenty movies that I still thought like that. I was not like, don't get it wrong. Like there were movies that I shouldn't have liked, but I did, and I
Uh-huh.
still do, kind of, you know. But even then, well, not this movie, Armageddon was like, I don't know, man. There's like, I wasn't intelligent to be like, that's the reason why. I can say that now, like if I were to watch it again and pinpoint what I don't like.
Hmm.
But at the time, there was like, yeah, this seems weird. I just think it's stupid, you know. But I don't know. It's still eye candy. It still looks beautiful. It's
Yeah.
still fun to watch.
Yeah, it's got a good cast.
Yeah. Oh, it's the Russian. You know what? It's the Russian. That's when they got up into the space station to refuel or whatever
Uh-huh.
before they like went to the comet. The Russian sequence was what did it for me. Like where there's like, we got to fix this wall because it's leaking gas, and then just hits it with a hammer. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, this is fucking NASA. Like they would not advise anyone to like hit the side of their hull with a hammer,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the
you
guy at
know?
the International Space Station, and there just happens to be Russians up there. It's like a bed and
Yeah.
breakfast.
Yeah. So,
My favorite thing is that that's the point in the movie where I was like, oh, they can't even stop for gas without the gas station blowing up. I mean, like everything blows up in that movie.
everything did blow up. Yeah.
So back to The Rock.
Yeah. Back to the Rock. Tangent, whatever. Over. However many that we've had so far. But back to the Rock.
The,
So,
are you aware of the? I mean, you said you did some digging into this movie. Are you
I
aware that
did.
there's a conspiracy theory that this is actually a James Bond movie?
I have heard that, and I think it might have been from you, but I have not heard like it all. or the
okay.
breakdown of it. Just that it's a thing out there that exists,
Yeah, I just saw the other day someone, actually one of our listeners, Mr. Andrew Junkins, sent me an article here
Okay.
saying that had you seen this, and it was like the conclusive proof that The Rock is a James Bond movie. And I saw the headline, and it's like, yeah, I am aware of this. I will let you lay out your case, and then I will tell you why it's wrong.
Okay.
So someone actually looked into the dates that the movie of the John Mason character, where 1960 whatever he gets put away, and then he disappears for 30 years, which is also the same amount of time that he wasn't James Bond. That like his movies ended, and they talk about how he was captured in Alcatraz, and then he was captured and then he escaped once, and then he escaped again later on.
Okay.
So they caught him twice basically. And they're like, well, okay, so after Dr. No, the next movie is From Russia with Love, and there's a line about how Bond disappeared for like 3 months, 6 months or whatever, and nobody knew where he was. And that actually fits in with the timeline of this, where Mason, was there the first time, and then he escaped before they caught him again and put him back there. Well, that line is a holdover from the novel, because the novels and the movies weren't in the same order.
Okay.
So it's a little shady to hang my hat on this, only in the sense that the books are their own universe and the movies are their own universe, because they do two different things. Here's oh yes, and then the final thing is that he was in prison the whole time. So basically, after his last movie, they caught him again, and then just James Bond didn't exist in this world, and John Mason was one of his aliases. Okay. Well, I'm going to use statements the characters actually made to prove that wrong, because as clever as that is, I feel like it's a total accident. I don't think that was intentionally done. I don't think somebody like really did their research and looked up when the movies came out, and that was said at this point in time.
Also not the same name.
Well, but that's the thing, is that it's one of his aliases, right?
Okay.
Because secret agents use aliases and phony names and everything like that. So Mason met Jade's mother at a Grateful Dead concert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's classic acid rock fan, right?
Okay. Yes.
So there's a line in Goldfinger where Sean Connery says something about drinking Dom Perignon at above room temperature is like listening to the Beatles without earmuffs. So he doesn't like the Beatles, but you're telling me the same guy likes the Grateful Dead?
Yeah, that won't fly.
It's coincidental. I'm sorry. I mean, as clever as that was, it's just. But
yeah,
for Connery, it is really cool, and you can kind of see it as like a spiritual, like, oh, it's like him getting to play Bond one more time.
I mean, I get that people want to have that, right? They want to say it's like, oh, this is another Bond outing. Like it's awesome to see James Bond doing his thing again.
The OG too, yeah.
Right. But like, I don't know, that's just a stretch to me, because then it's like, well, you could also then say that like about other action movies he was in, like it seems like you could take this premise that's paper thin and use it for like a whole bunch of other stuff, that Connery was in. So
and it's a fun mental exercise, because we used to do that at the TV
yeah.
station. Like we'd see these people on Law and Order, like Saffron Burrows popped up, and she was a detective there for a while, and it's so like we'd make up these bizarre stories. So it's like, oh, it's really the scientist from Deep Blue Sea, but she's like trying to atone and taking a different career path now that the lab's out of business, and trying to do something positive with her life. And then you have to justify how Jeff Goldblum's there as her partner, and
Right. Um,
Connor
I really.
doesn't seem like he slowed down though. I mean, like the escape from the hotel is really cool.
Oh my
The car
god.
chase is
I was
cool.
thinking like if you got thrown out of a building and like your arm was like tied to something else, what are the like? Do you think I mean, your shoulder would absolutely be destroyed, like if this happened to any one of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I was also thinking like, do you think you could get enough velocity or velocity
Yeah.
to just tear that arm right off? Like you just keep going instead of like hanging off this building by a rope? Like, do you think you just like have no shoulder? Not even die
Why?
from impact, just die from blood loss on the way down.
I think it's more likely to sever your hand because that's
Oh,
where
sure, because
the
that's like the
linchpin was
weakest
at.
point. Sure.
Yeah,
Not to
that's
get all morbid
also.
on our live audience, you know?
Let's do that for a second. Let's get morbid real quick.
Sure.
I have
Yeah.
a weird random dinner party fact about that. So when people die at sea, they tend to find them without their hands, their feet.
Jesus Christ.
And that's exactly why, is because the ocean's so brutal that it's not like the fish eat them. It's that's the weakest point, and that's the first thing that erodes, and then kind of like the elbow, So that's why you find like a shoe on shore. That's
Oh,
because
with the foot in it.
someone was out there. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
I guess it
God, that's so
depends on
gross.
it. Oh, it's absolutely gross. But again, like you said, science.
Right. Yeah.
But
God.
I guess it probably depends on like how thick your arm is, because Womack, I mean, he wasn't like me. Like he wasn't some, pencil neck guy. Like, my arm probably would have torn clean off. Like it just would have sheared straight through it.
Yeah, but he's got those old man brittle bones. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
just,
maybe he drinks his milk, man. We don't know.
I mean, like, so do I, but I think my arm would get taken off. I think the whole thing would be off. Like,
The cast was really good in this. Like he was a good dirtbag. The guy with the mustache started out as a dirtbag, but then he's kind of like on their side, you know.
William Forsythe or whatever.
Okay, that's who that is.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I just know because it's like, it's one of those like C-list celebrities that are always at every horror show you go to because of like, I think they're in some Rob Zombie movies. I think he was, as well as Dick Tracy and some other
Okay.
stuff, you know. So, yeah, yeah, he was like, I don't know, he was kind of weird in this movie. It seemed like he was just like the guy just saying random lines. Like he didn't really like have an attitude. Like he was like second guessing Nicolas Cage there and then like rooting for him at the end, you know? So like in the bathroom when Nicolas Cage is throwing up,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, how he's gonna have to save everyone from dying. And then he's like, are you gonna be able to handle this? You know? And then
Yeah.
like, I'm rooting for you right at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
Just say these lines, we're paying you.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, what are you gonna do? Not root for him? He's the only guy you got left out there.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Like,
dude, like I was just thinking about like how odd his like going to Sean Connery, Mason, like how odd is it that like he just wanted to see his daughter? Like they met or no? Like they've never met.
I don't think she's met because he would have been incarcerated her entire life.
Right. It's just interesting that that's like what he decides to like when he escapes from the hotel room, he's like, I've got to like somehow track down my daughter that I've never seen before. And I'm going to tell her that like I want a relationship with her. It's just like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
of all things.
He kind of says there, like, you're almost the only proof that I even exist.
Yeah, I kind of hate that line. I kind of don't like it at all. I don't know. Like the only proof that he exists. Okay, well they like were
Well,
able
she
to
doesn't
find
know
her
the story.
No, no, I mean, not, no, she doesn't, but it's like they were able to find information. I mean, it was small information, but people were able to find information about Mason. So it's like there is kind of proof out in the ether there that he's a human being that does exist, that does have a body, you know.
Well, the
I don't know.
government has those files because that's classified information, and you don't need to know that. They were really throwing that around a lot,
That's classified.
like you're
And
on the
you
need
don't
to
need
know
to know.
basis. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was annoying. I also realized like that the cars here explode on impact just like the cars from American Ninja. Did you notice that?
The
Like,
trolleys too.
yeah, that whole sequence, it's just like cuz like dude, like Sean Connery takes a Humvee right into some sort of car and it's just this fucking fireball and I'm like, man, everyone in that coffee shop on the corner's fucking dead. Like Sean Connery's dead. The guy driving the other car's dead. But no, that was just a fender bender, man. He like just backs the Humvee up and goes on to like plow into some other explosion, you know?
Yeah.
It's just one thing after another. And also there's like vegetable crates and stuff that were strategically placed on corners for them to like run into.
Yeah,
You know?
we just needed some of those guys with like the pane of glass walking across the street.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
them to go through.
Don't cross the street with this glass right now, you know, type thing.
You
There's
know,
a giant pane of glass that you're gonna have to fucking drive through.
there is a really obnoxious trend in like car chases of that era that I'm glad has kind of gone away, where it's like the close up of the guy, but rather than just kind of like realistic vibration, it's like the camera like kind of like crazily going in and out like that while they're.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah. Well, I felt like whenever I see that on a camera, I'm always trying to figure out like what that is that they're using to make that like shaky effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always think of like the DualShock controller, but just like the fucking weight, but it's giant and they just slap it right onto like the cameraman's like arm or whatever as he's like holding it, you know.
So here's another dinner party fact, right? So what you just
Are you gonna
described,
tell me I'm right?
Sort of. We've all seen Logan.
Yeah.
You know how when Professor X is having his episodes and like there's that weird effect where everyone's paralyzed and everything's kind of like going fucking crazy around him? That's exactly what they did, is that they had a vibrating thing next to the sensor of the camera. So it was like right on the sensor of the camera. So that wasn't a digital effect. It was just something like interesting that they found that they did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so like what do you think about like Ed Harris? I think he's the best part of this movie.
I think Ed Harris is great, although I do want to talk about the car chase just a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
Because another thing I realized watching this is how Michael Bay used to be really good at sliding in, maybe not good, but like he definitely slid in lines that like you think the audience would say, right? So if someone's like heckling your movie, it's like here's the line that the audience would say, but you have a character in the movie say it.
Right.
And that was the trolley driver.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh damn, oh this is crazy.
Right.
It's like they just cut to him for whatever reaction they need.
Yeah, he's telling people to jump out and like save themselves and stuff.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, which I would definitely feel like anyone on that road, as well as everyone in the trolley, was gonna die, because it's like on a steep hill off its track, sliding down.
Mm-hmm.
Which also massive explosion once that car hits Nicolas Cage's Ferrari, or once the trolley hits the Ferrari at the end. It's just, and I've noticed this before, but this is the first time that I really like paid attention to it. Like Nicolas Cage, his airbag was deployed when he was just sliding. He did like a 360 and then his like airbag deployed.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It's kind of nitpicky, but he takes out his gun and like shoots it. Right? Like, I gotta get out of here. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, they don't stay inflated, they kind of like blow up and then they're like deflating. So
how bad was that stunt double that was running away from camp? He's like, there's like a Nick Cage stunt double as the whole thing's chasing him down the hill after he gets out after the airbag, and a
Oh,
guy's just like looking backwards, but it's clearly not Nicolas Cage.
oh yeah. Well, I think here's my theory. Like Nicolas Cage is never shot running from the. It's never a full body shot. It's always from the waist up. I think he's like super fucking gumpy, right? And so it's either like a stunt double or he's running from the waist up.
Weren't
Like
you the one
I
telling
don't.
me there was like videos of people running, like funny videos of people
Well,
running?
there's Steven Seagal running. If you got to watch that, and maybe I'll edit this into the description because we brought it up before, and now we can actually do that in our descriptions. We can be like, yeah, this is the clip we're talking about. No, but someone put like a fucking super cut together of Steven Seagal running in all of his movies, and it's so fucking funny because it is the weirdest way to run. Like the whole thing about like arm movement and running is you have like your elbow at like a 90-degree angle, and like your palm, like this part, should be like crossing where your hip is. And by doing that, like it naturally brings your knees higher, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not doing that, you're not helping yourself out at all while
Right.
running. Like your legs are doing all the work. But Steven Seagal, man, he's got his elbows like glued to his ribs, right? And he's literally just like moving his wrists like this, you know? So that's what he's done in all of his movies. And no one's made fun of him about it until the internet. God bless the internet, you know?
Yes. That's what, yes, finally we can stand up to these karate people and tear them down with anonymity.
Yeah. Oh God. No, yeah, check that out. And then there's another good one is Tom Cruise running backwards because he runs in almost every one of his movies, but it is really odd just to see him doing it backwards.
Well, running backwards is one of those things you can't do.
Yeah.
Blinking is also really bad. Anytime they do reverse motion, the person can't blink because it doesn't look right when it's played backwards.
Okay. So let's talk about Ed Harris.
Let's get back to Ed Harris. You know, he is great. I like the Marines. I was watching this and just
nice to see Hicks back in here doing some military shit again, but you know, he didn't make it out of this one.
Why didn't people cast Michael Biehn more? He's great.
Dude, he looks like I mean, I don't know. It's just maybe he doesn't look like he should be in the military. Maybe I don't know what someone in the military actually looks like, but he just fits that part, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he belongs there. And it's like the same earpiece or whatever from like it. It's like, which one did they use for the Metal Gear game? Was it like a still from this? It's actually a still from Aliens, I think. Or no, Terminator.
Terminator, you know? Yeah.
But he's got like the same microphone with the thing on his ear, you know?
Yeah. What you're referring to is the original Nintendo game, like the illustrator just copied still frame from that and put it on there.
Right.
Yeah, he's great. The ancillary characters are great. The villains are great, like Tony Todd.
Oh yeah, I don't like that soft shit. You know? Well, that's you. You're the Rocket Man. You know.
Yeah.
No, I loved it when like, Ed Harris was like losing control of like his power over his like subordinates.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells him to stand down, but his voice cracks. And it's like, oh, that's it, game over. They don't trust him at all anymore. It's going downhill, you know? I thought that was like a really awesome touch where he says stand down, but his voice cracks, you know, through it.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a happy accident or if he's just that good of an actor. I mean, I feel like that could go either way.
I think it's that good. He's like that good of an actor, like because like look at like what he went through in the Abyss when he's trying to resuscitate like Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, you know, like she's like what he's doing in his vocal range was like crazy. That was the longest name. I didn't mean to say
you like saying her name. I know you do.
Like how I just like when I come for me, I think it's funny to say the whole name because it's really like preposterous.
Mm-hmm.
It really is that long of a name. But then my graphic design brain kicks in And I think about the nightmare that would be to have that name above a movie title next to a different name. Like you could only really like make it look right, which is like hers or someone else, like a bunch of other people's. But because of that last name, it's so damn long, so many consonants. It's like we got to cram it in there, and it just will always look like shit.
Yeah, or it would be at the top of the title instead of the director, and then you have the other characters down there as
yeah. She has 2 more posters just to fit her name on it, you know. So just side by side, it's 3 posters because her name's so goddamn long.
It's got a 3 poster contract.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. The music's so good. The speeches I feel are well written, and being that this is a live stream, we're recording this the day after it was Memorial Day here in America, and I watched this last night, and I was kind of hoping that this would line up as the Memorial Day episode, just because of the subject matter, where it's about veterans that were slighted, kind of coming back to carve out a piece for their own, for their families. It wasn't about revenge. It was about doing justice for the families that were lied to, or just in his words, told some fairy tale about why their loved ones didn't come home. And the music's great. It just gets to you. But
yeah, hold on. I want to talk about the music real quick, because this is the first time in a while that I realized that modern action music is missing screaming guitars. And like, we really need to bring that back in action movies, as like not like screaming guitars like all the way through, but it definitely highlights parts, like like when shit was going haywire and that downhill action sequence with the Humvee and the Ferrari. It's like there would be a crash and it's like
yeah, as in slow motion.
yeah, we need to bring that back. If you're listening out there, bring back the screaming guitars and action mute, like as a highlight thing, so
I'll have to ask the composer of my movies opinion on that, because he's a real style chameleon. I'm really impressed with what he's done. And I was listening to some of his other stuff, and even when we were over there, like I got the stems for the music, and it's so densely layered. It's like mind melting. So I'm going to work with him on everything going forward. But I digress. Yeah, that's screaming guitars. We need that.
Like the one other one that like pops out immediately is like when in Long Kiss Goodnight, right? When it's like ever they show the villain and his like weird facial expressions, so I was like just like screaming guitar for no reason other than he is on screen.
Well, and wasn't the subordinate bad guy there the same? Wasn't he also in? Wasn't he like the head bad guy in Long Kiss Goodnight, or am I misremembering that?
Oh yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I don't remember his name, but he's in just about everything. Like he was in Contact and not McGinley, not the the other one that was also in Seven and Scrubs, but yeah, he was a subordinate to that guy, much like he was a subordinate to Ed Harris in this one. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about him. He's the one that he was like, yeah, we're engaged. Oh, like you mean Charlie's engaging her assassination contract,
Yeah.
Not engaged to get married. So
yeah, it's interesting because Michael Bay gets a rap as being I don't know if it's a poor man's Spielberg or what, but watching this and being that it was like his first I think it was his first really big movie, and you kind of have like the James Cameron regulars with Michael Biehn and Ed Harris from The Abyss there. I got kind of a James Cameron vibe
from this one.
Yeah, just because of the casting.
Yeah, a little. Apparently, like the studio was really they were uneasy about Michael Bay at the time. I looked through like his credits before this movie, and it was like mostly music videos. But they were I don't know like what was going on set to make the studio think like something was wrong. But anyways, they had an executive meeting with Michael Bay, you know, and like Michael Bay was like super worried about it because it seemed like, I don't know if it's like your first shot at something, a big budget like this, and you're like, hey, can you come in with all the studio executives? It would feel like you're getting fired. That's why you're being brought in. And what was cool is that he was talking about this to Sean Connery, and Sean Connery said, do you mind if I come with you, you know, like to this meeting? And Michael Bay said, yeah, I guess you can come. And he basically told them that like Michael Bay is doing a really good job and you should just leave him alone. Like we're all in good hands. Just leave him alone. He's making a really good movie.
Oh, this was
You
while
know?
they were making it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool on Sean Connery's part.
No, yeah, that's awesome too, because he's been around enough to know, and I think he's, you know, just from the Bond stuff on Prestige Productions and everything, so he would absolutely know that. Yeah, that's cool. I know when they were making Never Say Never Again, he did not like the director of that.
Oh, okay. He seems like if he gets annoyed, he's gonna let people know he's annoyed, and like he's got the, I mean, he's been around so long, and he's got like the resume to be like, hey, you're kind of a fuck up, and I can say that with authority, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
But I got a crazy side tangent that I found out about this movie, but it's huge ramifications. But it's not about this movie necessarily. So in September of 2002, so this is for us, this is like we're now going to war with Iraq because of what happened after 9/11. And MI6, which you would know more about what they are than I do. Do you know what MI6 really is? It seems like it's kind of like the CIA equivalent of the UK, right? Okay. So they stated that they had a new source that Iraq was stepping up production of chemical and biological warfare, which we had our own reasons. We called it like weapons of mass destruction, whatever. I'm saying we, like the United States. And the source stated that Hussein and his military was working 7 days a week, concentrating a great deal of effort on production of anthrax, which is not good either, right? But a bunch of questions were raised by like people critical of the source, because there was like information that was put out there that's like, that's not how we chemical warfare, to put it in a better word. So it's like, yeah, that's not the protocol we would do to make these weapons. And one of them happened to be spherical balls, right? That contain the agent, much like this movie, right? So they said that they're usually in containers that are like have a lid to them or something, but not like like people were saying, like to put a chemical warfare into a ball like that is unpractical and very dangerous because it would be easy to puncture, you know? And so all these questions were raised. Come to find out, the source was just using this movie as the source. But the crazy part is, right? So it's like all the stuff that this source was saying, like Iraq was doing and making, was just Nicolas Cage describing what VX gas is and what it can do, right? But Tony Blair, who was the prime minister of UK at the time, was briefed on this information. This information was the grounds for the UK to join the fight that we were waging in Iraq. Isn't that fucking incredible? If it wasn't for this sources misinformation using the stuff that was contained in this movie, the UK wouldn't have joined the fight at that time.
Yeah, they wouldn't have joined it until NATO invoked Article, I don't know, whatever it is, where like an attack on one of us, isn't it?
Isn't that wild though?
No. I'm
not.
The
source just made it up and was like, yeah, it's from a movie. And then Tony Blair, it's like, I would say that, like, you know, like our president would be smarter than that, but maybe not. But it's just wild to me that it's like, I can't believe that people signed up for a real war over misinformation that was taken out of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
You don't
it's
see
the
okay.
words don't describe, and I think enough has been said about how terrible that war was and how it never should have happened in the first place. I mean, this is just
you don't have to go too far
to the list of reasons, which are myriad, of why that should have never happened in the first place.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, and UK should have never been involved because their information was from The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. That's so fucking crazy. Do you think any other country will be duped like that ever again?
Let's not go down this road, because every time I feel like, oh, this can't happen again, or that's too stupid. Like, nobody, if you wrote that story, nobody would have believed it.
Yeah.
Right? People would have said, oh, that's too far-fetched. That would never happen. And then you see the stuff that actually happens, and you're just like...
Right. So you don't think we should put those ideas out into the ether because then someone might make them a reality? Is that what we're saying?
I don't think I'm saying that at all. I think it's an interesting thing as a writer, because I always try very hard to make plausible situations that are, you paint yourself into a corner and figure out a realistic way to escape it.
Yeah.
And yet there's still that thing where it's like, you can write it and people will still be like, well, that can't happen. But then you see some of the stuff that does happen and you're just like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's
well, unreal. That's what I mean. Okay. Yeah, I think we're kind of like speaking the same thing, just slightly differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, it's like if you, it's like a good barometer to be like, yeah, that's too stupid to actually happen. And just like, be patient.
Oh yeah.
Be patient, because it'll get there. Yeah. We'll get to it. We're the human race, after all. We got to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and we will, because history has shown repeatedly. Every time you think we found the bottom, it's like, nope, there's another one.
Right.
So, we liked our villains.
I like the villains. I liked all the actors. It's kind of crazy to like see how many people are actually in this one, because it's like you had Tuco, he was in here from Breaking Bad, so he was one of the soldiers. It's like, oh yeah, McGinley, he was in here.
He was one of the bad soldiers.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. It's the cast was great in this. I loved all of them, or seeing them on screen. So.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was very watchable. Even the minor characters, you remember them because they have a unique voice or a unique face. It's a cool ensemble movie.
It is. I don't know if I have much more to add.
Well, I mean, that's about our episode length. We can pop the green smoke and get blown off this rock if we want.
Finish off this happy birthday to ourselves.
That's right.
It's kind of crazy, like looking back on it, not to reminisce too much on it, but it's wild to me that it's like, hey, do you want to start a podcast? Because we're so bored in the pandemic, to it being like something that we consistently do every week. And now evolving and changing, growing into something more.
Yeah, I mean,
sweet. Pretty fucking cool.
I feel like we've been, at this for so long where it's difficult to imagine the week without it.
Right.
Which I think is probably the best thing that I can say about the show, because, I'm kind of a man of few words in certain respects. And I don't know. I think the best thing about it is it's just kind of become part of life, a fact of life. And I
agree. I also don't feel like it's a chore. I think there's certain elements that it's a chore.
Don't misconstrue that that's what I'm saying. It's just...
Oh, I'm not.
I do look forward to those. And
so No, I mean, it for me, it hasn't gotten to be a chore, but but I think that speaks to already what you just said. So I'm not putting words in your mouth either.
Yeah, it's part of the week.
Yes, yes. All right. I mean, I guess I don't even know how to end these, because I would be like, yeah, go like and or just use the description down below, or give us a like and a follow on our
Well,
social
I
media
mean, people are
platforms.
still going to hear this audio, so
Yeah, I guess they are.
let's wrap it up for everyone, because
Yes. Well, first, thanks everyone for coming. We appreciate it. To the people that are now watching it not live, thanks for watching the video. That's awesome. You can find us on our social media platforms at Post Credits Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Links are down below. Links to Brian's trailers down below. Links to the Sledgehammer horror interview about our first horror movie. Those are below as well. So if you want to check out more from us, that's the best place to do it. I guess the links wouldn't be down below in the audio version, but
you can put them in the show notes.
I will put them in the show notes just for you.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, I did that just for you, because I love you. Anyways, that's all I got.
All right. Well, this has been enjoyable. 104 of these in the bag, so let's get to here's to the next 104.
Yes, indeed, the next 104.
See,
2 more years.
This is where your slide whistle would come in that you were talking about in the beginning, your party hats. And like,
oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Put it in post, as they say in the movies, right?
Oh, that's too much work. I'm not doing that.
I'll do it. So,
all right.
All right.
New episodes every Tuesday. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, and this is for our YouTube people, because you can leave comments. What do you think about the live show? Let us know. Should we do more of these? Would you like more of them or not? Or don't let us know. That too. All right.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.